Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Success Secrets Revealed show. My name is Ronald Couming. The sponsor of this show is RCS Online Solutions, where they help business owners and entrepreneurs, much like you, attract, convert, and retain their ideal customers and clients. What we like to do, the purpose of this show is to bring on subject matter experts to help people like you, business owners, entrepreneurs, or those who would like to be, and talk about how they achieve their success, the pitfalls and the things that help them get over those pitfalls. And it is hoped that in hearing those things, one, if and when they happen to you, you will realize that A, you're not alone, and B, maybe learn some steps to get out of them, navigate them. So A, you might not get in them, but then learn how to navigate through them to get out, with less pain, so to speak, right? So today I am super happy to have with us David Corbin. He is a two-time Wall Street Journal best-selling author who has been referred to as the Robin Williams with an MBA because of his very practical, high-content speeches coupled with real-life entertaining and sometimes side-splitting stories and applications. He is also known as the mentor to mentors, as he has trained and advised, mentored, and guided many luminaries in the field of speaking, consulting, entrepreneurship, and big business. A former crisis intervention counselor with a background in healthcare, he has served as a management and leadership consultant to businesses and organizations of all sizes, from startup businesses all the way to Fortune 20 companies, much like AT&T, Dominos, Kaiser, American greeting cards, as well as cabinet members. Additionally, as an entrepreneur and investor, David was awarded the Innovation of the Year by Bank of America and presented in association with former Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, Tom Peters, Secretary of State James Baker, Maya Angelou, and others. He has been featured in Forbes magazine, Inc. magazine, NBC, Fox, and was the host of the movie Pass It On. Last year, he had not one, but two of his books make the Wall Street Journal list, a testament to the importance of his teaching. Dave, join us. How are you?
Fantastic. I got to tell you, I've never heard anybody say startup like that, American greeting cards. I mean, I'm a former New Yorker, but forget about it.
Hey, you know what it is. I want to go to Binny's. Hey, how do I get to the island? I want to get a dog.
It's over there.
How do we get to the island? Is that the red train or is that the blue?
Yeah, you got it down. How you doing, man?
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us today. There was one company that you worked for that, as I was reading your bio, your intro, I couldn't pronounce it. So instead of butchering it, it's the one that began with the P, but I didn't want you to not mention it for you.
Beats the hell out of me. I'm celebrating my 40th year as an entrepreneur, consultant, advisor, speaker, blah, blah, blah. And in those years, there have been a lot of different companies. So if you leave one out, no one's going to get excited, including myself. 40 years of being psychologically unemployable.
Nice. Yeah, nice. But 40 years, how's that possible when you're only 29, brother?
Yeah, I started in the womb. I was a very early super achieving zygote. We all were pretty super achieving when you think about it. I mean, we're the result of one of millions of sperm that made it. So we're sort of all champions, you know?
That's true. We fought a whole bunch of odds before we had a chance to fight any of these odds.
That's right. Yeah. I love when you call them pitfalls, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't feel like it's a pitfall. It feels like it's an avalanche fall, but I could assure you the net, if you will, strategy is quite similar, whether it's a mountain or a molehill. It's and we can talk about some of those.
I would love to, because right now I kind of want to have these interviews not be so time sensitive, so they can live on and have value whenever anybody sees them. But, there is no way in the world we can't not mention what's going on right now, because it is affecting business owners, entrepreneurs, as well as the healthcare issues. But, the mental, the emotional, and financial strains and stresses that it's putting on business owners and entrepreneurs, I think this is just a great example of, maybe it's a mountain opposed to a molehill. It will pass and we will survive. But how much damage between now and then, and if you could help people maybe navigate through that, I think it's a blessing that we have this opportunity.
Well, my name is not Solomon the Wise. My name is David the Fortunate, David the Lucky, David the Figure It Outer. That's what entrepreneurs are. Entrepreneurs are essentially innovators, inventors, and the like. I'm particularly impressed with that guy Dyson over in England. Dyson, the vacuum cleaner guy.
Yeah.
Well, he went in, I think it was in 10 days, created a ventilator.
Wow.
And he's creating 15,000 ventilators. They're in the manufacturing process. That's the entrepreneur, baby. That's the entrepreneur. And I would ask entrepreneurs and small business owners, those who call themselves entrepreneurs, to create a scenario in their mind that they're on a witness stand and they're being probed as to if indeed they're an entrepreneur. Have to defend that you are indeed an entrepreneur, because in that process, you then have to define what is an entrepreneur. You have to know what are the core functions, the job functions of an entrepreneur. And then you can get real serious about saying, well, I am, but I can get better in this area. Or, maybe I'm not. And in order for me to be that, I ought to or need to. But, that's ephemeral and that's philosophical, but it's also very practical. But in answer to your question, what is it that could be done today, while we're drinking our quarantinis, while we're staying home? And
mine is Maxwell House, but
mine is green tea. But what can we do and to use this time effectively? Number one, you got to survive. You've got to survive. If that involves conserving costs, you've got to survive. You got to survive here, and here. Got to survive any way you can. I heard someone, the highest caliber, suggest maybe even get a job. What? A job? Whatever it takes to survive. My buddy, one of my dearest friends, one of my closest friends for over 30 years, and I know it's 30 years because his son graduated from a program that we were doing when I was partnered with Brian Tracy, and his son was born on the day that he graduated, and he actually didn't make it from California to New Jersey for the birth of his son, Adam. But I know Adam's 30, so I know Mitchie and I go back 30 years. And his name is Mitch Axelrod. Jot his name down, Mitch Axelrod. He's a brilliant, brilliant individual who doesn't promote himself all over the place. And he's worked on a program called Soul, Roll, and Goal. Soul, Roll, Goal. And he's working on the book right now. He owns soulrollgoal.com. And it's basically, before you set out a role in life, make sure that it resonates, it harmonizes at the frequency of your soul, which is to say, check in, right? When I came to California to go to medical school, like on a PA program, I didn't go because at a soul level, I knew that that was not my role. So dare I set a goal? I end up with soul frustration and role frustration and then goal frustration. So I recommend, I suggest that our small business people and our entrepreneurs stay alive no matter what it takes. And if the role you choose is not harmonizing with your soul, it's okay right now. It's a temporary. You can go in there honestly and openly saying, this is not my goal in life. It is a temporary role that I'm willing to do to support my long term. So stay alive financially. That's huge, baby.
I love it. And that was soul, goal, and roll.
So, soul, like your soul.
Yep.
In Spanish, they call it the alma. Soul and roll, ROLE. And then goal, GOAL. Soul, roll, and goal. Soulrollgoal.com. Mitch Axelrod. Now, this guy, Mitch, I must tell you, 3 weeks ago, out of nowhere, 65 years old and healthy, eats well, suffered a stroke. My best friend. I mean, when he moved out to California, he literally lived with me here at my home for 9 months. That's how much I love this man. You can imagine how painful it was to realize how fragile and delicate life is. And had he not gone on with the stroke, and had they not taken a picture, they wouldn't have known that there was a tumor in there. They did 2 operations. He's now in rehab, and he'll come back together. But isn't life fragile? You might see on my Facebook posts, I post almost daily. I have about 6 or 7 rocks, and I pile them up.
I saw them.
You know, people joke and they go, yeah, you're probably super gluing it. No. I'm feeling the balance. Centering myself. Sometimes I'm actually standing on one foot while I do it, because when you're balanced as an entrepreneur, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, you can do so much. But when the wind blows like this seems like tsunami pandemic, you get knocked over. And when you're balanced, every day I do it. But then again, every day I have my rituals, which is another story. But the entrepreneur and the inventor, the small business person, will only exist that they could afford to balance themselves in all levels so that they could live and fight another way. I've shared with thousands and thousands of people in my audiences. It is no longer survival of the fittest. It is and always has been survival of the most flexible, the most adaptable, the most innovative. And that takes balance. That takes balance. So I suggest, number one, stay financially, solvent to the extent that you can, and do whatever the hell it takes to do that. But also make sure you're taking care of your mind and your body and your spirit. That is a must. Meditation and something that I teach called meditation. That's another conversation, but that's important. And then go about listening to the voices. What voices? I want you to hear multiple voices. What voices? The voice of your business. What is your business telling you it needs from you? If your business had a voice, listen to it. And when it asks you, what do you need to do? Then you write those down. I need to understand financial analysis, strategic planning, marketing, e-commerce, e-marketing, social media. Make a list.
Yeah.
And then get real serious with yourself. I tell people to, make a circle, a wheel, with a hub and a rim, and every one of those core job functions that your business spec'd in is a spoke. And you've heard me talk about this, Ron, and I'll always talk about it because it's relevant not just in a pandemic, it's relevant every goddamn day for every entrepreneur. And you write out these spokes of these core job functions, and you get serious with yourself, and you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is at the hub. That means you suck. Is out at the rim. I mean, with that,
you have an area of improvement.
Absolutely. And then, 10 out there at the rim, that's mastery. And where you're a 7, 8, or 9, like the song goes, you got to accentuate the positive, right? But then the song goes on the 2s, 3s, and 4s, it says eliminate the negative. And I say, bullcrap, illuminate the negative.
Right.
Where you're a 2 or a 3, set a goal to be a 5 or a 6, and then close those gaps. Do that on one wheel. That's what you need to do. Those are the things you need to do. Then there's another wheel, and that's the B wheel. And if you listen to your business, it will tell you who you need to be to do the do. Wah! Do it and do it. And that's the shizzle, man. And it's still feels so good to do that. It feels so good to do that, to close those gaps. Close those gaps. Yeah.
Now, to illuminate the negative. Now, I've heard you speak on that, and I've listened to you. I've been blessed to hear you on the stage probably more than 10 times, and you're one of my favorite speakers. I actually put that on a Facebook post, right? And I felt so bad because it was a 3-day event, and I'm friends with like half a dozen of the other speakers, but it was just I was speaking my truth as I typed it, and so could you tell us a little bit more about that? And you actually wrote a great book called Brand Slaughter, and how people actually hurt themselves with whether they realize it or not. And I think you put up a Facebook post not too long ago, and it was about somebody who had done something, but it was so good that they were going to see his brand in a whole new light that had nothing to do with the service that he provided, but now it drew people to him because he had done something. He or she, it was a business.
Well, the concepts are big. Illuminate is a book that I wrote like a dozen years ago, and it's still being printed and it's still selling because, it's saying nowhere in all of the positive mental attitude literature does it say we should ignore negative issues. If God forbid this little spot over here was melanoma, well, then I'll just cover it up with a Band-Aid because the rest of my skin is awesome. No, we say, don't cover it up, expose it and illuminate it and see where's it coming from, what's causing it, what's keeping it alive, and what happens if you don't mitigate it. And, in business and in families, we got to get real. I've got one of my heroes back there is, I've got a candle, James Baldwin. He said years ago, amazing African-American artist, movie maker, a philosopher. He said, in essence, we can't solve everything we face, but we can't solve anything unless we face it, right? Which is get real, face it. And so in my book, I teach, yes, face it, follow it, and fix it. Face it, follow it, and fix it. 3 F's. I teach if you're not effing up your business, you're effing up your business. So face it. What is it in your business and your life that you're not facing, that you're sort of sticking your head in the sand? And you know what happens when you stick your head in the sand? Your butt's exposed. And life will kick you in the butt if you don't stay awake and alert. So, for example, I knew what was coming down with this pandemic. I knew it early on. I knew what it was laced with. I had a strong sense. I had a sense of how I thought the administration would react or not react. So I faced it. And then I followed it. And how do I follow it? I invested heavily on what we call puts or shorting the market. And my wife, who's the genius in all this, she's an architect, but she's great at trading. Let's say that she made lots and lots and lots of money for us. That's facing it and following it. And the fix is on that. Face it. I had a client that makes pizzas. You've heard me joke about that. I can't tell you the name, but it rhymes with Schmamino's Pizza. And they hired me to be their chief illumination officer on a project. And so we faced it, that their profits were not sufficient to sustain their business plan. We followed it and found out that people were, pretty much buying whatever flyer blew in there. They weren't making much money on a lost leader. Follow it into the future, they're in trouble. Follow it further, And we followed it and found out, you know what? 70% of Americans don't know what they're having for dinner by 4:30 p.m. And they call up and they go, I got two kids and my neighbor's kid and my dog, and I need to feed them. What should I get? Hold, please. Boom. Well, hold. I've got an emergency here. See, what they didn't realize before they illuminated was they thought they were in the fast food industry. They were actually in the crisis intervention business and didn't realize it. So we followed it and fixed it and taught the people to say, you know, I got two kids and I got this problem. No problem. That's what we deal with. You know, you'll want this and that and these two round things of cardboard with ketchup and fake cheese and a big bottle of sugary caffeine water to keep those little SOBs bouncing off the wall. And people go, yes, that's exactly what I want. Because they illuminated and then they moved forward with that. That's a silly, simple example of illuminate, but it was worth hundreds of millions of dollars. My question is what is it in your business? Not when things were, when things were going great and whatnot, whatever. What is it that you are not facing in your business? What are you not facing in terms of your ability to deliver that which needs to be done for and with your business? And get real about that. That's illuminate. And one of the things you illuminate is your brand. Illuminate your brand, your personal brand, your business brand, because I teach that you're either building your brand, which is brand integrity, or you're killing your brand, which is brand slaughter. Brand slaughter in the first, second, or third degree, like manslaughter, but you're killing your brand. And so nothing is neutral. And I have people think, what is my brand? And then do what I call an audit of brand integrity. And that's in the book, Preventing Brand Slaughter. And then I just gave birth, I'm very proud to say, you can't tell. I birthed you see, Illuminate got married to Brand Slaughter, and we created a program called the Illuminated Brand for corporations and all. And it's formulaic, and it's basically understanding what are your values, the brand's values, what are your IDs. So the formula, by the way, is CV, like Charlie Victor. That stands for what are your collective values as an individual or an organization. That's CV. Plus your ID. What are your intended descriptors? How do you want people to describe you? Your CV, collective values, plus your ID, your intended descriptors, plus your ABI, your audit of brand integrity. And that is, you take your pad and paper with your values and your descriptors, and you look at all the intersections in your business, in your life, you and your employees, you and your family, you and your vendors, you and your whatever. And you ask yourself with your list and your descriptors, are you in integrity with that? Cool. Or are you committing brand slaughter? You get serious. So CV plus ID plus ABI, audit of brand integrity, plus your strategic brand initiatives. That's your SBI. What are you going to do about it? Right? What are you going to do about it? Closing the gaps. That equals massive brand integrity. So that's the birth child of Illuminate and Brand Slaughter. Yo.
Dave, that is phenomenal. My biggest gratitude and gratefulness for today is that everything you've just said is recorded, because it's so powerful and it's so descriptive. I could see myself, right? I could feel myself just, you know what I mean? Instead of being back and being the interviewer, I was like listening to you. So that's why I kind of like slid out. So, because my face, I would be just like this listening. So to me, this is priceless information for anybody who hears this today and going forward when we push it out on the radio station, YouTube, and all the other social media platforms. That was phenomenal. Thank you so much. And what did you buy puts on, the market or individual equities?
Brazil, the market. I knew that they weren't going to close Disneyland. I knew it, not because I just knew it, and so we did all of those, and we're grateful. But there's a positive. The positive innovation that came out of this is, we face the fact that healthcare workers are in deep doo-doo.
Yeah, my sister works at Mass General, and she tells me firsthand what's going on over there.
And my nephew, who's a radio host in Worcester, Adam Webster, he also works with UMass, and he was telling me it's so. What we did is we illuminated and created something. We faced the fact that turnover, stress, and burnout before the pandemic was a $4.38 billion problem. We followed it and we saw, well, yeah, they're stressed out. They're having to do this, that. I won't go into the details. So we fixed it. We invented something which was a video with touch screen and nature video, Emmy award-winning video, Emmy award-winning music scoring guy. So the doctors and nurses can go in this small room and for 3 to 5 minutes go from their crazy roles and goals, right? ROLES, by the way, roles and goals, down into their souls, so they can now be present with themselves and with patients. And Ron, we invented this and took it to market at Houston Methodist Hospital, one of the biggest teaching hospitals,
right,
research hospitals. And this was 3 months before the pandemic. It's got God's fingerprints all over it. Now we're beefing it up because with the pandemic it needs. And so we innovated. And then we realized, wait a minute, that's a $20,000 bill and it's a $500 shipping crate and $1,000 to ship and has to be built. We innovated on the innovation and we made the Rejuvenation Station Go, which is a $3,000 portable device that we could ship quickly because the clock is ticking. Now, people might be watching this well after the pandemic. Great. What is it that you're not facing that you can create and innovate and serve and love and bless others? Because that's what we do in business.
Yeah, no question. I mean, the first responders, the nurses, the doctors, police, firefighters, I mean, what they're going through and what they're doing for us is phenomenal. I'm so grateful. But they are definitely suffering mentally and emotionally and physically. I mean, they're on call, but so this device that you created, I mean, you had that. I think I remembered you talking about that last year at Secret Knock, that it was in development and it was coming. Yeah. So, but once you had it, and you're right, there was a much larger version of it, but now where the need was more immediate and widespread, you pivoted, and how could you solve a bigger problem, providing outstanding value to the people who utilized it, but then going forward, the people who utilized it benefited from it. Think about all the hundreds and thousands of people collectively that they're going to come in contact with because of that pivot.
That's it.
Right? So that's the pivot, and that pivot can be anything from seeing an industry like the taxi and then seeing maybe a better way of doing it and coming up with Lyft or Uber. Back in the day, it was Blockbuster and coming up with something better, delivery, which was Netflix, you know what I mean? So those types of pivots, or finding something that has a system, but maybe it could be a little bit better with a small tweak or a little add-on. So you don't have to create something from the bottom up. Just find something that exists in part of it, or the delivery or the presentation. Some part of it could be a little bit better. And if you can just tweak that, add on to it, either they're going to buy you out or they're going to bring you in as a vendor, and you can write your own ticket at that time. But I love the fact that everything you've said to me so far has all been about providing value first. I mean, even when you give your Domino example, it's not, you could say it's pizza and cheese rolls, right? But you're providing crisis intervention. People at that time need to feed their kids, right? And so everything, it's about serving people. So I really appreciate everything you've talked about today, Dave.
I want to take a look at rejuvenationstations.com, rejuvenationstations, plural, .com. And you'll see what we've done. And this is my, I don't know what invention, fifth, sixth, whatever. As you mentioned, I mean, I won this Innovation of the Year. It was all based upon Illuminate. So I suggest people take a peek at some of these things. And then my latest book, which is called Point Count: From Image to Influence, based upon some obscure founding fathers conversations we found, that hit the Wall Street Journal bestseller list also. So I recommend these books, not to make the dollar that I'll make, but I don't write about these things unless I believe in them. And that's all about how to influence, how to be influenceable, and how to be an influencer. And it's a great groovy book called Point Count. I wrote that with Phil Wexler. And it hit the list because people want to know, man. I mean, this is it. So right now, there's no better time to invest in yourself. Once you do your inventory of all the different spokes, there's so many free webinars. This is one of them. There's webinars, there's podcasts, there's books, there's classes. But when you do the wheel and you look at the gaps that need to close, then you look around the web and find out what you need to close. Don't run after moving objects like everyone does. Get to know all these other concepts. I call it the Cialis method. Get to know them for when the time is right. That's what you study. But study now what your business tells you need to learn and to know and to do. And prescribe it for yourself. Have massive character, determination, and discipline, and close the freaking gaps. Because when you do, your confidence goes up because your competence went up, which makes your confidence go up because and you do the eensy beensy spider up towards happiness and joy and peace of mind instead of going down that spiral of uncertainty and fear and doubt, which happens when you're quarantined.
Yeah, we're all human.
Catch yourself. I say catch and release. Catch yourself going down the crapper hole. Catch yourself. Let it go. Say, oh no, that's not me. Because Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher, said, fatigue causes man to fight battles previously won. Fatigue causes women to fight battles previously won. They've previously conquered them. But when you're tired, you go back to the old way. Maybe when you're quarantined, you go back to the old way. Maybe when you become the devil's fodder, which is the idle mind, you go back to the old way. Catch yourself, catch and release, and go, oh, no, I got it. I'm either tired or hungry or angry or lonely. I got it, but that ain't me. I'm bigger than that. Boom, step up, wow, and take back control. Don't fall into that hole.
I can see you've left New York to live in California, but you're still, East Coaster all day there, brother. I love it. And one of the things that I really like about what you just said in this last segment is about, without using the exact words, it's about empowerment. It's self-empowerment. Right now, there are a lot of people who are feeling disempowered. They're sitting at home. They don't know how long things are going to last. Some people have less money than they had, but their bills are the same. But now you've given them actionable steps about, trolling the net in a good way, the internet, seeing stuff that's out there, something that you might be able to contribute to, something that you might be able to change. And so to me, that's like the gift of empowerment. Get off your butt, figure something out, look around, turn off Netflix, right? You know what I mean?
Do it. Don't just talk about it. Here, I want to give this to you. It's rejuvenationstations.com.
Yeah, I have Rejuvenate. It's there. It's strolling. You see on the bottom?
No, you have rejuvenation.com. It's this one here. Now you got it. Take a screen capture because we're very proud you'll be able to get a sample tasting of what the programs are. Because If you can get a sample tasting, when the fit hits the shan for you, you can now look at this video and listen to the audio, and you can chill. Okay, very important that you can ground yourself and chill. One of my dear clients who I wrote a book with, Neri Hang, who lived during the Cambodian killing fields under the bloody regime of Pol Pot. We wrote a book called From Internment to Fulfillment, based around her model, which she didn't realize she had a model, but in my mentoring, I helped expose her model, which was SBCIA, which is stop, breathe, center yourself, inventory your assets, and then take action. SBCIA. Well, sometimes you need to stop, breathe, and center yourself, man. You got to do it. You know, Ron, because I've talked with you about this. After the Jewish high holidays, where there's a part where you bow your head down and then you stand up, they say the words, Anachnu kodim u'mushtachavim u'modim. I bow down. And one of my dear friends, Reconstructionist rabbi, he said, well, why don't we actually, instead of bow down, why don't we actually go down on our hands and knees like our Muslim brothers and sisters? And I did. And it was really weird. I felt embarrassed and whatnot, which is ego. And when I let go of that, I realized I was being reverent. As the Buddhists, as the Hindis say, Om Namah Shivaya, Om, the primordial sound that everything comes from, Namah, I bow with the greatest of love and respect, Shivaya, the God within. So I did that, and I've been doing that every day now for 14 years. I don't do Hebrew, I do English, and I do say 4 things. Number 1 is yes. I tell God and the universe and the spirit, yes. Next, please. Next is more. The next is thank you. I want the universe to know that I'm thankful. I want more. Yes to it. And I'm grateful, and I'm humble, and I'm pleased. I say, please. Yes, please, more thank you. And then I give thanks for anything that happens. I mean, yesterday, while we were celebrating the birthday of our friend Alex Stern on Zoom,
Yep.
I was building something, literally building something while we were on there. I had to put a submersible pump in this plastic thing, and I invented it with a 1.5-inch pipe coming out because I had overflow in an area in the septic, and the water was, I was inventing it, and I was creating it in real time, multitasking. And this morning I gave thanks to that because it worked brilliantly. I was able to celebrate my friend's birthday and create, develop, and have this thing before the next rain set in. I'm just grateful that we have been eating the best food in the world. Why? Because I'm a damn good cook. My wife loves when I cook, and we only eat organic vegetables, grass-fed and finished beef, wild-caught fish. We're very serious because we illuminated our health.
Yeah.
Right? You illuminated. I illuminated about 8-9 years ago, and illuminated and found out that I was obese. Well, what? Yeah, I was obese. And I followed that. Why am I obese? Well, it's real simple. Every night I was drinking 2-3 glasses of wine, get real hungry. My blood sugar was low. I'd take sardines, chocolate syrup, whatever was there, and eat it because I was so hungry. Follow that out into the future. I was 40 pounds overweight. I'll be 42 and then 50 and then overweight. I'm not going to be able to enjoy my children, my grandchildren, blah, blah, blah. What's the fix? Well, the fix is the easiest part in the world. When you're motivated, anything that you could vividly imagine, ardently desire, and enthusiastically act upon must inevitably come to pass. So, illuminate. I released 40 pounds. I stopped for 5 years, all news, all newspapers, all television, all coffee, all alcohol, all cigars, and I restored my health. So I still don't drink coffee. I watch as little news as I possibly can, yet you have to have my occasional whatever. Point is when you illuminate, your health gets better, your mental health gets better, you feel as though you're more in control of your destiny, your dharma, your karma, your sadhana, your path, your whatever the hell you want to call it. And it's like when you put something, you check something off on a list, it feels good because that's the law of control. And then sometimes you'll put it on the list just so you can check it off. That it feels good closing those gaps. That's my story. I'm David Corbin, and I endorse this message.
Nice. I love it. Thank you so much, Dave. I want to be respectful of your time too. But if I could ask you one question, but it's going to be, could you give, because most of the people listening or will listen are business owners, entrepreneurs, or they will be. They'll try to become, right? So could we give them 3 tips on what they can do to increase their ability to achieve the success that they're seeking?
Well, number 1 would be illuminate. Number 1, hands down, top of the charts, illuminate. Ask yourself, what is it that you're not facing that if you could close the gap would propel you towards achievement? What is the one thing that, make a list. And if you don't know, ask someone who knows you. They might know. So that's number 1. And I just did a 360 at the beginning of the year. Sent it out, and I had people answer questions about me. What do you like about what I do represent? What do you not like? Blah, blah, blah. It's wonderful. So, get out. So ask others if you need to, but find out what is it you need to close the gap on. That's number 1. Number 2, meditation. I'll talk about this real quickly. You know what meditation is? Meditation is important. You quiet the mind. The monkey mind, the monkey chatter is going to want to talk. And in meditation, you're directed to let those thoughts just go by like a cloud. But in David Corbin's meditation, here's what you do. You have your pad and paper. And let's say on top of it, you put down an issue, a challenge, a conundrum, or that which you might be illuminating. And you just put it down there. And you have your pen. I like to write with fountain pens. You have your pen. And you close your eyes. You put yourself in a meditative position. And you had already set your phone for an alarm of about 8 or 9 minutes on it with a gentle wake up. And with your eyes closed, you allow yourself to dwell upon that issue. And with your eyes closed, you're writing. Don't open your eyes. Just allow for that process. Meditation. Meditation meets concentration, and you capture it with your eyes closed. So illuminate, meditate. Next would be hydrate and fulfill. You must feed your brain. Your brain is thirsty, needs water. Your brain is hungry, needs fat, healthy fat. You need cod liver oil, ghee, good fat, avocados, grass-fed and grass-finished beef has wonderful fat. Eat it. God made your body. God made this food. Don't eat food tainted with chemicals, antibiotics, etc. So I would say illuminate, meditate, hydrate, move. Make sure you're getting movement. When you're sitting still, you can do number 4, I guess, would be a 3x5. What is a 3x5? Choose 3 little exercises. It could be push-ups against your desk. That's all. Push-ups and just do 5 of each. It could be just stand up and do squat thrusts, or choose 3 exercises, do 5 of each. You know what happens? You're moving your body, and you're also taking control, because right now we're losing a lot of control. And when you're losing control, I mean, if the governor feels like he's losing control of the president, control causes people to go backwards. So If you feel like you're losing control in life, take control by doing your 3x5. Then you might want to do a 5x15, which is what, when I work with clients, it's a report. It's called a 5x15 because it takes them no more than 15 minutes to write, takes me no more than 5 minutes to read. And maybe you could team up with friends, and it's got 3 sections. Number 1, update on what you're working on and what you're winning. Number 2 is your frustrations, challenges, and bottlenecks. And number 3 is prognosis. What do you see for the future and what do you need for the future? So that's a 5x15. I don't know how many gifts I gave there, but here's a gift.
You give a lot, brother. Did it with it?
If anyone texts to 55678, and if your message is DMC2, David M. Corbin 2, DMC2, text to that, the message is that, you'll get a free copy of one of my books. I have an ebook and the workbook, Psyched on Service, Building a Total Service Mentality. And those wheels are in there. And this is a book I wrote about 18 years ago. Mega relevant today. It's been updated.
Dave, the message is, what is it?
DMC2.
DMC and then the number 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's great. I'm going to put that on the scroll on the banner now. And going forward, I'm going to put it up here, but I'll make sure that it's in.
Yeah, it's captioned. And so it's the book, and it's a workbook that I did. The secretary of the VA read the book and loved it, and then had me come and train all of the directors and the chiefs of staff of all of the 172 VA medical centers. And then we did hundreds of thousands of people with me on video. That workbook and that ebook is your gift.
Yeah, I'm going to be texting it too. So I know that gift was for the listeners, but believe me, you're going to see my phone number come in, brother. This has been incredible. Like I said, I'm so, I'm listening, but I'm also learning. And I've heard you speak several times, but today I also heard some new content and new spin on some of the other content. And whenever you hear something again and a little bit differently, you just pick up different things, and it gives you, a different outlook and different ways that you might be able to utilize it. So thank you very much. In closing, is there anything else that you would like to possibly say to people who will be listening again now and or in the future?
Well, I'm in my cottage, which is a building on the back of my property. When I do my mentoring, they spend the night here. It's got a full kitchen and everything, and in my office, right? And then over there is another building on my property, and that's my library. And here's my point. Have a library. Now, I've got a separate building, and it's awesome, and I got lots and lots of books. But here, let me just show you. Here's what I'm reading, or I've just been reading. Look at this. Restoring the Soul of Business. Great book. This is a cool book. Ken Rashan. If you don't know Ken, keep smiling. You gotta do that. Here's that book, by the way, From Internment to Fulfillment. I'm working on a few edits. There's Preventing Brand Slaughter. That's my own book.
I have that book.
Wheat Belly, because I'm always learning about health. The Kaufman Protocol. Sandra Kaufman, brilliant scientist on anti and reverse aging. This is an absolute must book. You must understand artificial intelligence. I don't mean write code, but do you understand that with artificial intelligence, companies and countries know us better than we know ourselves?
Yeah.
And they're not afraid to use it with their marketing and their advertising. So I teach, I believe, if you're not hacking yourself to your highest and best values, they are hacking you. Hack it or lose it. And if you go to my LinkedIn or whatever, you'll see a great blog on hack it or lose it. I'm reading that. This is a great one. Oh my God. I just spoke at Steve's conference. Love is just damn good business. And Steve is just one damn good thought leader and speaker. So I'm saying read, baby. Read, learn, take notes. You should see the notes. I mean, when you're serious about this, now this is my wife's copy of the book, but in my copy of the book, there's notes all over the darn place. And that's why I say read it, learn it. Look at this. These are notes just from the introduction, right? It's some cool stuff. So yeah, I say read, learn, feed your brain, feed your head, feed your body. Then you end up feeding your wallet. You feed your heart. Your life is good. Lead a big life. So my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thank you so much, Dave. You've been amazing, brother.
I'm happy to share. And thank you, Ron. You know, you and I have known each other for a long time, and I watch what you do. You're brilliant at what you do. I look at what you do, it crosses my eyes, right? Which is why we hire people like you to do what you do. And I do what I do. And when you put them together, like I'm not going to have a radio show or a podcast. Everybody says I should. I'd rather be on yours, right? I'd rather be the grandfather. I don't have to take care of it. I'd rather be the knucklehead who sits here like this and just has fun.
Yes. In this case, because you're so young, it wouldn't be the grandfather, it would be the uncle, right?
There you go.
All right, Dave, thank you so much, man. Sincerely appreciate everything.
We're going to do a mic drop?
Yep, drop the mic.
Mic drop. All right, man.
Thank you, Dave. You have a great day.
Peace out, brother Ron.
Yep, bye for now.